So again, thank you for coming today. I'm presenting on evidence-based benefits of Tai Chi and chronic pain for chronic pain. This is part of a requirement for teacher training certificate through the Tree of Life, and the certification is based on this protocol called the 8 active ingredients of Tai Chi. In general, what I'm going to be talking about today is that Tai Chi is a safe and low impact practice that has growing evidence that it improves pain and disability in people with chronic musculoskeletal pain. Today, I'll define what is chronic musculoskeletal pain, what is Tai Chi, as well as review research evidence on Tai Chi as an intervention and discuss possible mechanisms and practical applications. And then we'll go into a little bit of practice focused on the theme of chronic pain and trying to use the 8 active ingredients model. Starting with chronic pain and its impacts. Chronic pain has a huge impact on society. The presence of pain is one of the most common reasons people seek healthcare services. As of 2023 data, 1 in 5 Americans have chronic pain, and 1 in 3 Americans over age 65 have chronic pain. As of 2011, so this number is a little outdated, the annual cost of pain to the US was $600 billion a year. And now it's 2026. So 15 years later, that number is undoubtedly larger. So pain has a huge impact on people in the US healthcare system, and clearly affects a lot of people over the age of 65. When I say chronic musculoskeletal pain, what do I mean? We've all experienced pain. Pain is something you know it when you feel it. It's ultimately an experience, something that happens in the brain. Um, Chronic pain in particular is defined as pain persistent or recurrent for at least 3 months. And musculoskeletal pain is just refers to the pain that arises initially from musculoskeletal structures, muscles, joints, bones, tendons, ligaments, or related connective tissues. So common types of chronic musculoskeletal pain would be chronic low back pain, osteoarthritis, or chronic neck pain. Pain is a multidimensional experience. We could easily just think of pain as a single thing, but it's far from that. And it's certainly not just tissue damage. In fact, tissue damage following injury may not even be present in chronic pain conditions, meaning the initial tissue damage has healed. And it's rarely an accurate predictor of clinical outcomes. This diagram on the left is one way of showing the multidimensionality of pain. Um, if tissue damage were at the core, then we also have sensations, thoughts, and emotions related to the pain, or to the nociception, the tissue damage. And then we also may experience suffering related to the pain. And certainly we have behaviors that are, because of our pain, influenced by our pain, or behaviors that also drive and feed the pain. As I said, in chronic pain, there might not be actually any tissue damage, but we still undergo some of these outer layers, suffering, pain behaviors, and the nervous system may just be in a state of hyperarousal. I don't need to dive into too much into the pain experience. I did study that for my PhD, was mostly related to chronic pain. But for the purpose of today, I'm just showing that pain is multidimensional. And one reason that I'm bringing this up is that Tai Chi is also multidimensional. It's holistic. It's very nuanced, and so it can interact with pain at multiple levels of this diagram. And we'll talk about that later. So, what is Tai Chi? We may have the idea of, well, everyone here has experienced it through me at some point, but a lot of people just think of it as like old people in a park moving slowly. And I would say, yeah, that is it. But it's also what are they doing with their bodies? What are they doing with their intention while they're moving? And it doesn't just have to be old people, of course. So Tai Chi is a traditional Chinese martial art that's characterized by slow, deliberate movements. It's a martial art, originated as a martial art, but it's not necessarily used in that way by everyone now, although some people still do practice it very much as a martial art. It focuses on making the components of movement conscious and combines mindful movement, postural control, relaxation, and it trains new movement patterns. It's low impact and can be adapted to most ages and abilities. Tai Chi has all the facets of holistic pain management: mind, body, spirit, connection to others. It's gentle yet active, giving an opportunity to build self-efficacy or self-confidence in a soothing setting. If Tai Chi was a medicine, you could say it has 8 active ingredients. So what's Advil is a medicine, and what's the active ingredient in that? Ibuprofen. So Tai Chi could be said to have 8 active ingredients, and this model was created, this framework was created from the head of the program that I'm training under, Dr. Peter Wayne, who's the head of Harvard's Integrative Medicine, and wrote a book. I don't know if you can see me, but the Harvard Medical School Guide to Tai Chi, and all of the training I've been doing is under his guidance as well as his teachers at the Tree of Life. So just briefly, I wanted to touch on the multidimensional nature of Tai Chi, all the active ingredients, and just name them right now. It includes awareness, strength, active relaxation, social support, spirituality, intention, structural integration, or you could say also alignment, and free breathing. So this is just to show that pain is multidimensional, Tai Chi is multidimensional. So how is it as a research intervention or as an intervention for chronic pain? Is there evidence that Tai Chi can reduce chronic pain? And yes, there's plenty of evidence that Tai Chi benefits people with pain. I wanted to start with a systematic review that looked in general at chronic musculoskeletal pain, and then we'll go into certain conditions after this. So this was a systematic review and meta-analysis, and basically that those type of studies, they put together multiple independent studies on the same topic, and then they say all combined when you kind of summarize all of those, does Tai Chi still have an effect? One thing that I found was interesting in this article is that the majority of studies focused on osteoarthritis. So 80% of the studies were for people with osteoarthritis, and chronic back pain was 13%, headaches 7%. The key findings from this study, this review, was that Tai Chi was found to be more effective than no treatment or usual care for reducing short-term pain. This had a moderate effect size, basically saying that the impact or how big the effect of the treatment was moderate, which is a really actually good number, especially when you're summarizing lots of different independent studies from multiple sources and doing things different ways. Tai Chi also significantly reduced disability, and the evidence was graded as moderate quality. So what does that mean, and why does it matter? Um, when people do these reviews, they're looking at, yeah, there's studies, but how good are they? Were they done rigorously? So when they're done most rigorous, there's a higher quality of evidence. I think it's very hard to get very high quality evidence for something as integrative and holistic and varied as Tai Chi. There's different ways people teach. There's multiple lineages. There's so many ways that you could do this differently. So, the higher the quality of evidence is, the more you can be confident that the treatment, the effect that's found is substantial. But moderate quality evidence to me is great for something that's done in people of all different populations. So moving on, I'm going to talk briefly about a couple different conditions. starting with knee osteoarthritis. Um, I just pulled out some results from a trial. This is a randomized trial in which people got either 12 weeks of Tai Chi or standard physical therapy. So Tai Chi produced improvements in knee pain and physical function, and this was comparable to standard physical therapy. So if you look at the graphs here, um, the the squares are people who got Tai Chi intervention, and the triangles, people who got physical therapy, and the one on the left is how the pain score, so how they rated their pain at the first dot is at the beginning of the intervention, baseline, and then after the 12 weeks, and then after 24 weeks and 52 weeks. And you can see that the pain scores dropped greatly after both of the interventions. So, I mean, I think it's a good thing that Tai Chi was comparable to standard physical therapy. Um, an interesting finding, and so the two on the right are more about physical function. So physical function was also improved. Um, the one thing interesting from this study was that Tai Chi group had a significantly greater improvement in depression compared to those who received physical therapy. So that was one study. What does it look like when we do a systematic review, combining lots of different studies? Well, in 2021, a review was done of 16 randomized trials and did find that Tai Chi significantly improved pain, stiffness, physical function, dynamic balance, and physical quality of life. Again, the evidence quality is makes it a little harder to say that these results are completely definitive. It was found to be low to moderate quality, so again, results are positive but not definitive. Moving on to chronic low back pain, there was a 2011 randomized controlled trial where people did a 10-week Tai Chi program, and this reduced pain and disability compared with usual care. So the control group was they were just on a wait list and they were doing whatever they were already doing um, for their pain treatment, no new interventions. So compared to the people who got 10 weeks of Tai Chi, this is a lot of numbers. Don't worry about anything except for what's in the red box. I just want to highlight, I wish it was a graph, but um, sometimes charts are better. I just want to highlight the red box. You can see the pain scores. So out of 10, what were people's pain levels at baseline and then after the 10 weeks of treatment? So the Tai Chi group on the left was their pain scores went from 4.4 to 3.4. And that might not seem like a huge improvement, but the baseline group actually went slightly up. And the effect of the group, the difference was statistically significant, highly significant. So that's a positive sign that Tai Chi improved pain in this group. Again, just to mention that there's meta-analyses, big reviews that combined all these trials and then look does the effect still stand for chronic back pain? And we do find a 2024 meta-analysis looked at 10 studies and found that Tai Chi did reduce chronic low back pain and improve disability. The evidence certainty was moderate for pain, but low for disability. The last study I'm going to pull out is on fibromyalgia. Technically, fibromyalgia is not a musculoskeletal pain, uh, chronic musculoskeletal pain. It's more of like a sensory processing disorder, but it produces musculoskeletal pain. So I think it's relevant to include it here. And also, we can kind of see some nice results here on this graph. So in this study, there was a randomized controlled trial. And the people who got the Tai Chi intervention, it was 12 weeks of Yang style Tai Chi 2 times a week. So that's just a particular lineage of Tai Chi. And we did find that it reduced the impact of fibromyalgia compared to the control group. And the control group got wellness education and stretching, which I personally think is a really nice control group. Rather than doing nothing, they got something that might have a little bit of certain facets of Tai Chi. They're getting some movement, but clearly Tai Chi was better. So if we look at the graph here, black squares are the Tai Chi group, And throughout, they rated their selves on how impactful fibromyalgia was on their life. So the lower score, the better. So you can see that just drop over time of the 12 weeks of intervention compared to the control group. So that's some really promising evidence. And fibromyalgia, they're not rating pain in particular, but fibromyalgia is a painful condition. So that's it for pulling out research. What are the possible mechanisms and practical applications? I think when I talked about the eight active ingredients of Tai Chi, that kind of helps us see what the possible mechanisms could be, why it's effective. There's plenty of physical benefits to Tai Chi. It enhances flexibility. Can improve strength, particularly leg strength, because there's a lot of standing and holding a posture. It improves posture and balance. There's a lot of emphasis on the spine and structural alignment. And there's also psychosocial effects. We're doing this in a group. There's a lot of intention and, well, we're not always doing it in a group, but it's commonly practiced in a group, and you have to learn it from someone. Um, and that can modulate pain perception, including catastrophizing, reducing stress and anxiety. So I think this is a big way in which Tai Chi can influence pain because anything that influences anxiety and stress will increase pain. And then there's, um, what's happening in the body on a physiological level when Tai Chi is being practiced. There might be some evidence. I saw one study to highlight that they saw some reduction in inflammatory markers in people who um, practiced a more intense version of Tai Chi. But that's just one study, and it's a little bit controversial. I think the main thing for practice and relevance to healthcare is that we can see that when people practice, they do have these positive effects and a reduction in pain, as well as some things related to physical function, disability, etc. Because Tai Chi, we're talking about pain management here. I think it's useful to think about some practical applications here. People with chronic pain might also have disability that limits their mobility. So, adaptation is important. It's important to be able to modify protocols or Tai Chi forms for people with limited mobility. Providing online classes and tutorials for those who can't easily leave home might be a worthy adaptation. In healthcare, it will be great to continue to incorporate Tai Chi into pain management plans. I think integrative medicine, holistic medicine already does a decent job of this, but the more evidence of benefits we have, the more the Tai Chi gets brought into healthcare. And that's why we need continued funding of Tai Chi research in clinical populations, people with pain, but also plenty of other conditions in which there's Tai Chi has been researched as an intervention. Um, so the more research generally, the more accepted it is into healthcare. So in summary, the current evidence seems to support Tai Chi as a safe and low risk holistic intervention for chronic musculoskeletal pain. The strongest evidence exists for knee osteoarthritis, and there's growing evidence for fibromyalgia and chronic low back pain. While more research is always needed, current evidence supports Tai Chi as a valuable adjunct to comprehensive pain management. These are my references of the papers that I highlighted. And then it's time to do some practice and see how we can kind of bring some of these eight active ingredients into our movement practice. So I'm going to stop sharing. If you have some kind of limited mobility, something that is causing even a pain that is causing you to not go through a range of motion, that's absolutely fine. We don't need to force any shape tonight. And it's actually a good chance to just listen to the body. And usually pain is improved when we get a chance to listen to it and to feel it. I'll be doing most of the guidance standing, but you're welcome to stay seated if you'd like, if that's it feels right for you right now, and just try to do more of the upper body stuff or shifting your weight from your hips. I think we'll start standing. So when you have a chance, you can get up. And if you don't have me on full screen, I would recommend it. And there's no need to keep your camera on if you don't want it, but feel free to do so. And also, if you need to leave at any point, that is absolutely okay. All right. Letting my cat out. So, yeah, coming into a standing position, bringing our feet. Sorry, I'm just adjusting the camera so I can see as much of my body as possible. So you can see as much of my body as possible. Yeah, that might work. Getting our feet about hip width apart or a shoulder between hip and shoulder width. If you can have your feet facing forward, so feet parallel, toes forward. That's the position we'd like to start in. Anything here is a suggestion. You get to take it into your own practice, being your own Tai Chi master. And we'll just start feeling our feet on the ground, noticing the weight distribution in the feet. And we can set an intention tonight, particular because we're talking about pain and in this practice, that anytime we go into a story of how something should be or how something's not right or evaluation, assessment, judgment, just go back to the body. The body's always the present moment. The body itself isn't where the fear is or the judgment is. So just bring your attention back to the sensations. What are the sensations in your feet right now? Without judging them as good or bad, right or wrong, too much or too little. And you can imagine that your head is a balloon filled with helium and it's floating up to the sky. In Tai Chi, we think a lot about yin and yang. So yin in in the body is our heavy tissue. It's associated with the ground. So our muscles, our soft tissue, this is yin in the body. And so we kind of let our muscles relax towards the ground while the yang parts of our body, our bones, get to float up towards the sky. And particularly the top of our head gets to float like a balloon, almost like it's attracted to the sky. It wants to float up so we can keep that image throughout practice or feeling the sensations. What if my head was full of helium, so much that it was pulling the top of my head up and allowing the spine to just hang like a string of pearls from the top of the head? Maybe even feeling a little like the pelvis and the tailbone have a little weight on it. And having a little bit of a micro bend in the hips and the knees, just so you're not hyperextending, bringing some awareness to hips, knees, and ankles, and noticing if anything is tensing or stiff, allowing gravity to take your tissues down towards the ground while the bones stay floating and upright. And the top of your head really floating towards the sky. You can feel that gentle tug on your spine of the floating head. And the heavens are supporting you from above, and the earth is supporting you from below, taking anything in excess that you don't need, you can surrender it back to the earth. And the body here, just tuning into our inner ocean, the body's made of 70 or so percent water. And as we move today, we can feel that ocean sloshing or just pouring back and forth. So we're going to slowly move our weight side to side, pouring our weight into the left leg. I'll mirror you, unless the video camera is opposite. I don't actually know. And then pouring to the right and feeling as though the leg is filling with this inner ocean. And you can transition left and right, nice and slow, no need to rush. Really feel the inner ocean pouring from one side to the other. Maybe you can feel one leg as you transfer the weight. You can feel it filling like a cup of water filling from the bottom up to the top. So filling from the feet, the ankles, the knees, the hip, and pouring your weight side to side. Letting the joints be giving here in the lower body. So as we pour our weight to the side, we don't need to hyperextend the knee, but we want the weight to be supported, a nice yin-yang balance. Allow your breath to be free. Instead of forcing any breathing pattern, trying to control the breath, in this practice in particular, we'll mostly be just allowing the breath to move freely. So as you're moving, the body kind of breathes you. Just bringing some attention to the belly and the diaphragm and the chest to see if we're squeezing or holding anything there that might be inhibiting the breath, the freedom of the breath. And pouring the inner ocean side to side, feeling one foot fill up or the other, or if you're sitting, feeling the pelvis get heavier on one side than the other. And then we're going to really bring our weight into one side, can bring it into the left leg, keep a little bend in the knee. And I'm going to have you turn the belly, the nose and the belly stay in line, and you can let this empty leg, now we filled our left leg up, the right leg is empty, the knee can fall towards the center line of the body. So my belly is turned towards the left, belly and nose. My weight is almost all on the left leg, and the heel of the right leg is unweighted, and the knee is falling towards the center. And then we're going to reverse that, turn the belly and the nose to the right side, filling up your inner ocean into your right leg, and letting the knee of the left leg fall towards the center line. The heel of your left leg can come up. And we're going to speed that up and let the arms swing with it. So turning the belly side to side, transferring weight, pouring your inner ocean side to side, and just letting your arms hit on your body wherever they hit. Noticing if there's any changes in your breathing. And we're going to keep this motion in the lower body, pouring side to side, turning the belly, and then we're going to drum on the body. So basically just steer your hand up towards, we'll start with the chest. So as you rotate, let the arm get steered up, just again surrendering to gravity and hitting maybe the front of the chest. You have lung meridians that start here. So as you hit your chest, you may notice a change in your breath or an urge to cough. And then we're going to drum a little lower so our hands will tap the sides of the arms. You don't have to mirror me exactly. You can always go with what your body is feeling right now. And then let's guide our back hand to the low back. So gently tapping on the low back. This area is called the door of life or the gate of life. So what we're doing here is knocking on the gate of life. We're allowing any stagnant energy to flow. We're giving our tissue a little massage here. You can tap on the low back, the glutes, the butt. Again, notice any changes in your body, your breathing, your sensation. Good. Keeping the torso vertical, so head over belly, and nose and belly button staying in line. Good. And then just ending here, letting your hands kind of hit at the lowest point. So maybe that's the sides of your hips or pubic bone, tailbone. And then we're going to swing to stillness. So bringing your feet back under, hip or shoulder width apart, toes forward if it's comfortable for you. And just coming into stillness. Let that balloon, helium balloon, take your head up to the sky and the pelvis a little heavy, tailbone a little heavy, feeling a stretch in the spine, and then tuning into the body sensations here, noticing if you can feel a change, maybe tingling in the arms, the hands, maybe a change in your breath. And just notice if anything is squeezing and see if you can just invite softness, allowing the balloon to pull the top of the body and the bones to be attracted to the sky so the flesh can just sink down towards the earth a little more. Your shoulders softening away from your ears, your diaphragm and belly softening, the flesh around the hips softening, flesh around the knees and ankles softening. Feeling that inner ocean, maybe the waves are still slowly moving back and forth in the body, and you can tune into that subtle, subtle movement of your inner ocean. If your eyes are closed, you can slowly open them, and um, we're going to bring a little more yin and yang into the body in this next movement. So there's a yin position, and we're going to bend the knees and the ankles and let the hips sit down. And then we're going to open all of that up and reach towards the sky. No squeezing of the shoulders here, just allowing the body to be open. You can have your palms and fingers stretched open a little bit. And as we drop the arms, try to time it with the low body sitting down. And then we're just going to bounce back up. So your hips and knees and ankles can be shock absorbers, taking any um, force here and really distributing it through the low body so nothing is getting too much pressure. And relaxed in the upper body as well. There's no reason to force the shoulders to squeeze. We're just allowing the arms to flow up and down. You know, you can see from the side. I'm just letting my hips sit down. The ankles and knees are springy and accommodating, like shock absorbers on a car. And we'll just take a few minutes to dive into the yang part of this and the yin part of this. So on your next time up, we can just kind of pause and slowly stretch open again. Maybe open the heart a little bit, open the line between the heart and the fingers, and open the palms just a little bit, saying yes, hello, openness to the world. And then as we let ourselves fall down, we really let the arms just fall. And then coming back into that open position. Another nice thing is open eyes, maybe a little bit up towards the ceiling if that's comfortable for you. So a few rounds where we're really stretching a little bit through the palms, through the chest, through the arms, allowing the knees to unbend. And it's an open feeling, an engaging feeling, a saying yes, saying hello. And then we're going to really just dive into now to the yin part of this, where we really let the arms fall. How relaxed can you be in the shoulders? How heavy can your elbows and your hands be? So they just kind of let fall down, flick towards the ground. And the low body is nice and relaxed. And there's a harmony between the upper body moving and the low body bending. And what are you letting go of here towards the ground? Feel the massage on the body as your body parts moving. How much of a massage can this be for your body? And then we'll slowly bring that back to center. Feet under hips, and keep your arms moving. So we're going to just swing back and forth. We're going to feel into the center line of our body, like a plumb line from the very top of the crown, top of the head, through the center of the body, and through the middle of the perineum between your pubic bone, and maybe down to the floor. You can feel it. So as you swing your arms, you may feel the weight distribution changing on your feet. And does that highlight the vertical center of your body? Like a plumb line again, from the head down the spine, through the feet, through the perineum to the feet. And then just slowly letting that go. Feel the reverberations still moving. And like a gong or a singing bowl or a chime, let's see if we can kind of feel and keep listening to the reverberations in the body until they're the absolute most subtle volume amplitude. Can you, as your arms are slowly coming to stillness, can you still feel the whole body shifting slightly, the weight in the feet? And you can either put your hands on your hips or leave them at your side. We're going to just trace a circle with our hips, nice and gentle. And so, as if you were standing in the middle of a clock and you want to scribe the clock face with your hips, rather than forcing yourself to hit every number, just notice what shape you're making. If you were standing in the middle of the clock, would you be hitting the 5, the 9, the 1? And we can reverse directions. Feeling that inner ocean gently swaying and moving. And coming to center with your hips. We're going to pour our inner ocean very consciously into the left leg. So all your weight comes to the left leg. Try to stay vertical. We don't need to lean over. And then we're going to let this right leg be empty, the heels off the ground, and we're just going to circle the leg, nice and gentle, lubricating the joints here. As the knee is moving, what do you feel in your hip? And then slowly bringing that to a close. Since your empty leg is not, it doesn't have that ocean in it, I want you to very consciously pour your weight so you can feel 10%, 30, 50, 70, 90, all the way to almost 100. And as you're filling this side, this other side just magically gets empty. The more you fill into the one leg, the more empty the other leg gets. So the heel comes off the ground and you can circle the knee. And what do you feel in your hip? Without judgment, without story, that it should be less tight, just going to the sensations themselves, diving in. And then we'll bring that to a close. 50-50 weight, pour that inner ocean back. You can even flow with it a little bit till you get to 50-50, your feet about hip or shoulder width apart. And we're going to work with dragon wags its tail. So I have my hands just a little bit in front of my body. So bend in the elbows and the shoulders are nice and relaxed. You can even feel like your elbows are heavy, sinking towards the ground, surrendering toward in gravity. And we're going to place that just in our center somewhere where we're comfortable. And then it's like a little joystick. So as the hands turn to one side, you can also let the spine come with it. So kind of making this a little joystick that controls your spine. So we're moving side to side at your own pace. And we're just feeling a little stretch on one side as it gets more yang, open, a little stretch on the other side as it gets more yin, and just slowly massaging the tissue this way. You can feel, maybe bring your attention into the center back, into the spine. And if there's some sense of fear here, you can pull back and be a little more gentle and just invite softness, invite listening. There's no need to push sensations away. And you can play with this too. So we can maybe go forward and bend forward slightly, forward and to the side. So let yourself play with your joystick here. Maybe finding what feels really juicy, bringing the sensations, bringing the mind into the body, maybe into the spine, or just letting the attention flit around the body without any control or pressure from the mind. Good, coming back to center, letting the arms drop. We're going to now open and close the spine. So I'll turn to the side so you can kind of see my profile. And this is again yin and yang here. So yin is when we're a little more closed off. So the position here, the yin position here will be let the hips and knees bend and the head can drop towards the chest and you can bring your arms towards your face. So your elbows are bent here. And so you're really contained here. All the front vulnerable parts of your body are nice and close to each other. So this is a very womb-like place to be. When I'm here, I can even hear my breath better. But taking a few minutes to just feel into that position. Notice if there's any squeezing in the butt, in the shoulders, and any part of the body, and just see what can soften here in this yin position and just let it hang, let the head hang. And to transition to the yang position, you can press your feet into the ground, let the knees unbend, and let your arms fall, unbending the elbows. And maybe tracing the fingers down to the ground and stretching them just a little bit behind you. Rather than a back bend, let's make this a heart opening position. So just gently stretching the upper back and pressing the heart forward. Maybe you can feel a little stretch between your chest and your fingertips, a little stretch in the palms. And then transitioning back. So letting the hips sit down, the knees bend, the elbows bend, transitioning back to the yin position. Hands come towards the face, not touching the head, but kind of cradling it just outside the head. The chin resting towards the chest, and the lower body trying to rest as well, even though it's slightly active. So just letting the tailbone be heavy, letting the knees bend. And pressing your feet to come into the yang position and just guiding the heart forward and the arms back behind you. Nice, maybe a little stretch between the heart and the fingertips. Maybe looking up a little bit towards the sky. You can even have your eyes open in this yang position if you'd like. And then we're just going to flow between the two at your own pace. So maybe you want to time this more like a breath cycle, or maybe you just want to stay in one position. Just allowing this to evolve. So maybe the body, one part starts to move, and then all the other parts just are moving in concert with it in harmony. The yang transitioning to the yin, and the yin transitioning to the yang. One thing I always like to add is just a little bit of a stretch down with the hands, like your hands are trying to rake through some grass at the bottom of your feet so that we get those shoulders down towards the ground, a little stretch between the shoulders and the neck, and a little bit of a fascial opening from the chest to the fingers. How much of a massage can this be for your body? And can you still feel some ocean-like, wave-like qualities here? Some flow, maybe some hydraulic action. And then coming back to neutral. So letting the arms drop, straight spine. Remembering that we have our head is made of helium or like a helium balloon, allowing it to float towards the sky. And our pelvis can be a little heavy, like weighted like an anchor dropping down towards the sea. Um, this next movement, we're going to be drawing in some heavenly chi. So maybe you don't have a window close to you, but you can just imagine the outside, something you like from outside, so that we can kind of bring that energy into the body. Maybe it's the ocean, a tree, the sun. So to start this, we're going to bring the arms out to the sides of the body, nice open position, all the way up. The palms are facing you, and then you have a little bend in your arms, maybe like you're pressing down this chi through the front of the body. Little bend in the elbows. And nice and slow, like you can actually feel something substantial under your hands. And we're drawing in some heavenly chi from nature and pressing it into the body, nice and slow. As the hands pass over each part of the body, we get to press the chi into every cell, bone cell, nerve cell, muscle cell, organ cell. And then we're just going to continue repeating that. So as your arms raise, let your shoulders be relaxed, shoulder blades dropping down your back. And then pressing this heavenly chi down the body, every part of your body, your skull, your brain, your ears, the neck, shoulders, front and back of the chest, diaphragm, the belly, the hips, the low back, the thighs, shins, calves, ankles, feet. We'll just continue. Can always put a little stretch through your palms as you raise your arms. And feeling something under your palms, the heavenly chi that you're kind of just gently pressing into your body. All of the good stuff from nature we get to bring into our energy field. Remembering that we have the front and back and sides, as well as the legs. And one more time, pressing this heavenly chi from nature into the body, every cell, every organ, heart, lungs, liver, spleen, kidneys, large intestine, small intestine, pancreas, bladder, all of our glands. Good. Let your hands rest at the bottom. And we're going to do a three-part movement similar to this. So we'll start with the arms coming out, drawing in the heavenly chi. But now, and we're going to press down just towards the belly, maybe a little bit faster this time. And then we're going to maybe scoop up some earth energy, bring it up through the center line, up to your heart, and then press it down into the body towards the low belly, the center of consciousness here, the dantian, the lower dantian. And we're just going to repeat this movement. So yang coming out, yin drawing in towards center. Scooping up some earth energy, bringing it up towards the heart. And then back towards the center. One thing I like to do on this as well is kind of letting every joint be involved. So unbending the knees, unbending the hips, stretching open the chest a little bit. And then as I press the energy towards my center, towards the low belly, I'm going to let the knees and hips bend, maybe my neck bend as well. Inhaling, drawing up, I stretch my elbows nice and wide to the heart and then press down towards the belly. So on this one, I do like to pair it with the breath. Feel free to just breathe however you want. Maybe it doesn't work with the timing of your breath. But if you want to, you can exhale as you condense down. Inhale when you scoop up. Exhale, pressing down towards the center. Inhale, rising out towards the sides. Exhale, pressing down. Inhale, scooping up. Exhale down, letting the knees bend, hips bend. Inhale, rising, unbending the knees, stretching through the palms. You can keep going. A couple more rounds at your own pace. And we're going to end with one more round. The stopping point, the ending point will be bringing the hands to the belly the second time. So on your last exhale, you can bring the arms and just let them cross on your low belly. Let them rest on your low belly, one hand over the other. And you can give yourself a little massage. This is the lower dantian. This is the name, means field of elixir, but it's kind of the center. It's located where the sacral chakra is. Um, it's our energy pack, our battery pack. Maybe you can feel as you massage here, the tissue stretching in this area, maybe even stretching in the back. Can rotate the other way as well. All right. And we're just going to allow the hands to rest there. Okay, we've been about 30 minutes, so we'll maybe just go for 10 minutes more. Um, we can move into a an actual element of Tai Chi from this protocol, one that I love in particular teaching. It's so simple. It's the opening of every Tai Chi form, or it's a modified version of the opening of the Tai Chi form. And it's a nice way to kind of, again, work with the spine. Oh, so I have my box of teaching toys here. If the top of your head is hanging from the sky, then we let the tailbone be heavy, but this head stays anchored here, right? So we get a nice stretch in the spine. So I love feeling that stretch and I love helping people find that stretch there. It really requires an anchor or even the crown rising and letting the tailbone drop. So in this next movement, we'll be moving the whole body together, but as you drop your hips, you can feel maybe a little bit of a elongation in the spine. And when you rise, try to keep that spine as elongated as you can. So the legs are and the lower body, you're going to let your pelvis drop down like an anchor, let your hips and knees bend to a level that's comfortable for you. Try not to here, just let your tailbone get heavy and your pelvis is sinking down like an anchor into the water. And then press through your feet to rise up. As you drop down, keep your head anchored or maybe even floating higher into the sky. So maybe you can feel a little bit of a stretch in your spine as the pelvis drops. And try to keep that openness in the spine as you press through your feet, unbend your knees, but your spine maybe stays a little bit open. Next time you drop your pelvis down into water, you can it's like as though you're sitting down in a bathtub or something and your hands are resting on the bathtub and they just float up as the water rises, floating up to shoulder height. Let your elbows drop as though they're curling over a balloon, a beach ball. And then as you press through your feet and unbend your knees, you can let your hands float down, drop down in the water as it sinks lower. So dropping the pelvis and allowing the hands in harmony to float towards shoulder height, curving around the beach ball, and then as your hips and knees unbend, letting the hands drop down. And we just keep going with this motion, allowing the fingers to trail past the wrists. And allowing the lower body and the upper body to be in harmony. So as your hips drop, it pulls the shoulders down and it floats the hands up. So really letting yourself sit down, maybe feeling a little stretch in the spine, trying to keep that stretch as you rise up. The crown of your head, the head is floating like a balloon towards the sky the whole time. Your elbows are heavy and your shoulders are relaxed. And it's almost like a wave polishing a rocky shore. Every time you go through this movement, we're just eroding tension in the body little by little, giving yourself more of a massage. Using the movement, the repetitions, not to go anywhere, but to feel. Tuning into the inner ocean, sinking and rising. The coordination or the harmony of the upper and lower body, and just the gentleness here. And if anything comes up in terms of stories, assessments, judgments, evaluations, just go back to the sensations themselves. Just going back to the feeling of the body moving. Seeing if the labels of pleasant or unpleasant can drop away. Allowing the breath to be free. Maybe feeling a little stretch in the spine, especially as you sit down. And try to keep that nice openness of the spine as you unbend the hips and knees. And we'll wrap it up here. Just maybe one or two more movements. And then transitioning back to neutral. Still feeling the top of your head floating, still feeling the pelvis a little heavy. And we're just gonna, you can close your eyes or keep them open, just scan the body again. Feeling the feet on the ground, the weight distribution of the feet, feeling the flesh of the ankles, calves, shins, flesh around the knees, the thighs, the butt, the hips, inner and outer hips, front of the hips, low belly, pelvic bowl, low back, mid belly, diaphragm, all the flesh around the ribs, the flesh around the shoulders, the armpits, the tops of the arms, the top of the back, all the flesh around the shoulder blades. And bringing your attention down your arms, feeling the flesh of the upper arms, the lower arms, the fingertips, the palms. Surrendering the flesh to gravity while allowing the bones to be floating towards the sky, suspended between heaven and earth. And bringing your awareness to your neck, front and back, sides, up the face, skull, even inside the skull and the brain. Your eyes, the orbits around your eyes, mouth, nose, cheeks. And maybe just taking a whole snapshot of your body at once and trying to feel all the sensations at once without trying to locate them. Maybe a cloud of sensations in the general space of your body. If your eyes were closed, slowly flutter them open. I want to just end very quickly with sitting down again. Well, you can sit down or stand actually, but I'm going to sit so I can have this little tool here. You can totally stand for this actually. I usually do this standing. But that wave-like quality of Tai Chi is also um, kind of expansion and compression, right? As we were opening doing the yang and the yin, it's like we're expanding from the inside in all directions. So you can place one hand at either heart-ish level, just wherever feels comfortable, and one hand a little lower on the body. If you're standing, you might be more comfortable on the low belly and a little bit lower. So just feel it out. And then on your next inhale, you can let those hands come a little farther apart, but still see if you can feel a connection between them. And on your next exhale, you'll let the hands come a little closer to each other. So it doesn't matter the exact amount. We just kind of want to feel the palms and what's happening between the palms. Inhaling and letting them come farther apart, exhaling and letting them come closer. And just tuning into the sensations now. So it may help if you want to close your eyes, but you don't have to. What are you feeling between your hands? And there's no right answer. So tuning into the sensations between your palms. And then you can slowly, keeping the shape of your ball, keeping your hands connected, rotate it so the top hand becomes the bottom hand. And then allowing yourself to inhale and letting the hands expand and exhaling, compressing. Doesn't even have to compress, just paying attention to the sensations between your hands. And maybe you can let the whole body expand a little bit, not through movement, just through feeling. So feeling the breath on the expansion, the in-breath, every joint gets a little expansion. And coming back to baseline on the exhales. Or just feeling the breath move through you at your own pace. Focusing on the sensations between your hands. And then we'll just rotate the hands one more time so they're side to side. Inhale, expanding. Exhale, condensing. Sometimes it feels like a little accordion between my hands. So they're staying connected even as they stretch away from each other. And you can gently bring that to a close. And just to wake up the energy in the body, we can, seated or standing, just give ourselves a little tapping on the body. So you could take one hand and tap it up the other arm, up and down. You could do this 3 times, up to the shoulder, and switching to the other hand. And then we're gonna tap down the center line of the body, your chest, down to the belly. And let's tap the legs. So we can go down the outside of the legs all the way to your feet if possible. Get your toes, tap your toes, and then up the inside of the legs. And maybe we'll do this one more time. Out, down the outside, up the inside. And then we'll go more down the back side. hamstrings, calves. If you're standing, this works really well. And up the front, down the back, up the front. You can even tap on the low back. Coming back up to neck, chest, tapping on the clavicles and the traps. So tracing the top of the traps near your skull to the sides of your shoulders a couple times. And then going up around the skull. I like to draw circles on the outside of the skull. Then forehead, brow bone, all around the face, nose, cheeks, can go around the mouth, jaw, and let's make sure we get the ears, the flesh of the ears. And then heading down the jaw, down the neck, front of the neck, sides of the neck, down past the heart, all the way down to the lower dantian. So coming down to the low belly, below your belly button. And just crossing one hand over the other and feeling our battery pack here. And that's where we'll end tonight. Thank you so much for your attention and your participation.